In fact, this name was so bad that Fox actually issued an apology for it. The film industry is one of the biggest businesses in the world. Films are exported all around the world for moviegoers to enjoy, but sometimes when a film from one place gets exported somewhere else, changes have to be made. And one of the most common changes that happens to a film is their name gets changed. Films change names in other languages mainly because the original film's title doesn't make sense in another language, or because the studio thinks a different name would work better overseas. You probably watched a recent book video I made. It's pretty much the same thing I mentioned there, but in regards to films instead of books. A great example is of the 1974 film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This name is fairly self-explanatory if you've seen the film. In Italian, however, it received the title of Non Applique Quella Polita, and apologise for pronunciation of Italian there. In fact, apologise for pronunciation all through this video. I've done some checking, but things can still go wrong. But this translates into meaning, don't open that door. This name probably relates to the fact that if Leatherface was waiting at your door, you probably wouldn't want to open it either. I really like both these titles. I think they're both pretty fitting titles for one of the most celebrated horror films out there. If I had to pick one I preferred, let's go with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's much more to the point, isn't it? You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 3 very scary things. I don't know, I've been to Texas myself, so apologies for Texas if I just upset everyone there. Yeah, I'm sure you're grand. A language very well known for changing the names of movies is Polish. For a variety of reasons, films from the USA have ended up with some really weird names when exported to Poland. Take the 1988 Christmas classic of Die Hard. This is a film all about cop John McClane who finds himself trapped in a skyscraper when a terrorist situation breaks out. Die Hard is a pretty tough, to-the-point name, but it doesn't relate all that much to the plot of the film. Its Polish name of Szklana Pułapka, which means glass trap meanwhile, makes a ton of sense. It relates to the many windows which cover the Nakatomi Plaza, and on top of this, windows and glass play a pretty big role in the film too. If you've seen Die Hard, I'm sure you know. And you know what? I might actually prefer this Polish name as opposed to the English one. Die Hard, like I said, is this cool, Die Hard action movie name, but glass trap. I mean, the building kind of is just a big trap of glass, isn't it? If you've seen Die Hard, I'm sure you know. One of my favourite films, however, is Napoleon Dynamite. This is a really weird movie from 2004, and it really encapsulates the strange indie movie vibe that took over the 2000s and early 2010s. It revolves around a high school student named Napoleon Dynamite and his friends, and in all honesty, there's not much of a plot beyond that, minus a presidential race, I suppose. As not all that much happens in this movie, it makes sense why it would be named simply after the main character. Yet, for some reason, this wasn't a good enough name for the Japanese. In Japanese, the movie is instead called Basu Otoku, which means busman. This name makes really little sense. The film has very little to do with buses, minus the fact that Napoleon rides one at one point in the film. In fact, this name was so bad that Fox actually issued an apology for it. So if you haven't ever seen this film, I would highly recommend it. Though, maybe skip the Japanese version, unless you're from Japan watching. Man, do I have Japanese viewers? That'd be cool. If you're watching from Japan, let me know. But before we continue, I want to say a huge thanks to my most recent Super Thanks leaver. So thank you to Super Thanks leaver Poc A Squino. Super Thanks are a great way to make a one-time donation to help support Name Explain and can be left directly in the comments section of any of my videos here on YouTube. Patreon, however, is the best way to financially support Name Explain, and donating just $1 a month gets you ad-free videos, a chance to say what names are explained, an exclusive monthly newsletter, and your name at the end of these videos. All of that can be found at patreon.com/nameexplained, which will be linked down below. That helps out tremendously. Thank you. Anyway, let's move on to a British classic, The Full Monty. This is a 1997 movie about a group of men stripping to raise some cash. However, the men stripping aren't the kind of men who normally get naked for money. This is no Magic Mike, I'm afraid. The Chinese translation of this film's name was more reflective of the appearance of the guys in the movie. In Chinese, this film's title is Six Fat Pigs, which is a little unfair, I feel, but I guess it gets the point across. It really sums up the Chinese impression of Western British men, I suppose, in some weird way. I kind of think I prefer the original title of this one. Man, Six Fat Pigs, that's cutting. I feel, well, like, I'm already going to be getting naked. The last film I want to be called is a fat pig. Like, man, maybe I should go to China anytime soon. I don't know. And like we mentioned in that book video, film names can even change in English too. Many films get different names in the US and the UK. A great example is with the 2012 movie The Avengers. We all know what The Avengers is, right? The first big superhero team-up movie made in the MCU. Man, it was like wild seeing that for the first time. I remember watching The Avengers and being like, oh my god, they're all together. That's kind of like just standard fare. But yeah, anyway, where was I? This was absolutely a wild time, but when I saw it, it wasn't called The Avengers. Instead, it was called Avengers Assemble, as that's what the film was called here in the UK. And this weird little name change seemingly happened because of another movie called The Avengers from 1998, which in turn was based on a British TV series from the 60s. Yeah, this sort of goofy concept of the original Avengers, which I think involved a man in a bowler hat and a sort of super spy woman saving the day, that's the original Avengers in the UK. A lot of people, to this day, when they hear the Avengers, they'll think of that as opposed to the superheroes. But that whole thing kind of made one of the biggest films ever at the time change its name. And if I had to pick a name I prefer, it's got to be the original, right? Like, just The Avengers is way cooler. And you know what? Everyone calls it just The Avengers in the UK anyway. No one's like, I'm going to go watch Avengers Assemble tonight. I wonder if it's still called Avengers Assemble on Disney Plus here in the UK. I'll check. So let's find out our answer. Boom. There. That's what it's called on Disney Plus in the UK. But that's just 5 movie titles that changed their name around the world. But please let me know about any others I might have missed out on. Also, please suggest a topic down below we could cover in next Monday's Name Explain video. It could be about literally anything, and the topic can be as niche or broad as you like. I will then choose 3 of those topics and place them in a poll exclusively for my patrons to vote on. Then the winner from that poll will be the topic covered in next Monday's Name Explain video. You can vote in that poll, as well as enjoy many other great benefits by visiting patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below, and by donating just $1 a month. Thank you. Anyway, that's more than enough for myself, but don't forget to go follow me on Instagram where NameExplainYT, and don't forget to join the Facebook page, Friends of Name Explain, where you can chat with myself and many other name nerds. Okay all, take care. Should we start filming a video about films? Let's see how it goes, eh? Oh, don't move this. Is this? Yeah, it looks okay. Sklanaplopka. Skanaplopka? Skanaplapak? Pretty tough. Hold on a minute. Oh. I'm a mess. That took over the 2000s, early 2010s. 2020s? Okay, thank you. Bye.